need a partner who appreciates your emotional history, meaning like they're gonna be there when you're low, when that old pain needs attention. They're gonna be there, and y'all can love each other deeply. And when y'all understand that your top priority should be loving yourself. We're back in the vibes, waiting forward. You know the vibes. Page 133. Find a partner who realizes how your emotional history impacts the way they show up in your relationship. They don't need to know themselves perfectly or to have healed all their old hurt. They just need enough self-awareness to see when their past is getting in the way of loving you well. They know that rough emotions from the past have a way of twisting their mind, so it stirs up unnecessary arguments. Together, y'all lean on honesty with yourselves and each other to help get you through difficult moments. You support each other whenever old pain needs attention. You wholeheartedly agree that loving each other deeply and healing yourself should be your top priority. And this is page 133. We're gonna read the pages and then we're gonna break up each page now. Page 134. Connections often breaking under the weight of unresolved trauma and poor communication. Old hurt creates distance between partners and make it hard to see each other clearly. Without selfless listening and vocalizing your vulnerability, it will be difficult to deepen your bond. Page 134. Page 135. If you are constantly projecting and blaming others for their own emotionals and not interested in their personal growth, then it will be tough to build a healthy relationship together. Connection is enough, it's not enough. Partnerships also require a certain amount of emotional preparedness on page 135. So let's break down each page. On page 133, what we're saying mainly is you need a partner who's gonna be there to know that, to make sure their emotional history is not impacting the way they love you. That's first of all, that's what you gotta get out of that. And they have to be self-aware with it. If they're not like understanding that self-awareness is not that high to understand it's affecting how they love you, then the relationship might not last like you think it is. But if they're able to understand that, or you're able to understand that, yo, like maybe I'm not loving my partner enough or well enough, because maybe they're feeling some type of way. Maybe you gotta step back and look at what are you doing in that situation? What are you doing? Are you loving your partner well? Are you understanding that your old pain is affecting your way of getting your way of loving them? That's one. And two is to understand those rough emotions can also just cause a lot of drama and a lot of unnecessary conflicts, and it could twist your mind. But if y'all could understand that together, then you could understand that, okay, I gotta be honest with myself, and y'all can help each other out. Y'all can eat with each other. You can get the help you need during those moments, during difficult moments. So then y'all supporting each other whenever y'all pain comes up. Y'all gonna need that attention. Y'all gonna be able to wholeheartedly agree that loving each other deeply. But mainly, this is the top priority, is the healing yourselves. If y'all don't heal yourself, how you're able to help be there for one another? If you're not healing yourself, how you gonna be able to be there for someone else? If you're not loving yourself, how you not gonna be able to love your partner? Self-awareness is very key in a lot of things, but this is the purpose and the reason why it's so important in the relationships. If you're not self-aware about what's going on, how you gonna be self-aware of how you gonna understand what's going on in and out of the relationship? How you not gonna understand that something that your pain that you dealt in the past is coming to haunt you and affect you and affect how you're loving your own partner? And that's what we're saying in this page. And what this author is trying to get to clarify, to understand us dearly. That's on page 133. Now, page 134. Either this is how this generation, other generations, this is how it really is. Either y'all break off because of unresolved trauma or poor communication. And I know a lot of women want consistent communication, and a lot of men wants that too. But it's deeply from women, they want that. And what I want to say to the woman is, you gotta look at it in the perspective of a man. We might be going through a lot of trauma, and it's hard for us to deeply for us to tell you what's going on, because at the time that I try to do it multiple times with a lot of women, they looked at it, and but they didn't understand, like, hey, I was trying to show you, hey, I'm going through something. But you know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't even just trying to be like girlfriend, boyfriend. It might have been just being friends or something on timing. And it was just like, it felt like I was vocalizing me being vulnerable, but it was like the other person wasn't selfless listening. And that's why this bond between me and this person never deepened, because it's like, maybe you're going through something similar, or maybe you're going through things and you don't want to talk about it. Like, because after I talked about something, right, she tried to talk. It's like, hey, she's like, hey, I'm going through a lot of things. And I said, hey, like, want to talk about it? She's like, yeah. She was going to talk about it, but then she let that hurt, whatever she's going through, or whatever old hurt, whatever she's doing, distance between us with this friendship, and it made it hard for us to see each other clearly. Maybe I could see her, but she couldn't see me clearly because of what she's going through. And this is what happens when one vocalizes with a vulnerable and the other's not selfless listening, or it could be the other way out. And that's what happens in these connections and not deepen this bond, is these connections could, in this page, on page 34, what we're saying is, most of the time connections break up because of a lot of unresolved trauma or poor communication. And they go either way with each other. Like, they're like a tag team duo, you feel me? Because that's what you gotta clearly understand. Like, I understood, like, a lot of times when I didn't want to tell what was going on, like, it was because what I experienced and I never communicated. And that's what led to the poor communication, was the unsolved trauma. Because it's hard to always be like, hey, how are you? And you say you're fine, but you're really not. It's hard. Sometimes it's hard when we talk about certain topics, your trauma, your unsolved trauma could come up and appear, and it could affect you in some type of way. And that's what we're saying is, that's what happens when you don't, selfless learning, selfless, not selfish, selfless listening. When y'all both selfless listen to each other, and then y'all both vocalizing y'all vulnerability, then y'all able to open this bond and deepen it. But if we're not doing that, then it's not gonna be deepened. You're gonna let this trauma distance each other. You're gonna then you're gonna not communicate and be ghosting, and, you know, whatever the case may be. And that's what happens with a lot of women and men. We ghost with people because it's not because we don't want to explain what we're going through some days. We don't explain, hey, this is how I'm feeling. Hey, I'm going through this. Hey, I'm going through grief. Or, hey, I'm going through that. Because sometimes some people won't believe that. Some people will, if they healed enough, or they could clearly be self-aware. Okay, that's what you're going through. You know, how are you addressing it? What are you doing? You know what I'm saying? So it's hard for certain generations, like my generation or the generation before that, because sometimes it's hard for, not just for a man, sometimes it can be women. Sometimes it's hard for, depending on how your family grew up, whatever, it's hard for us to explain our pain. It's hard for our pain not to be used against us in the future. You know, some men had to deal with it, some women had to deal with that. We all deal with it, all genders deal with it. But it's unfair that being vulnerable should not be used against yourself. It should never be against. It should be to understand, so the other person can understand what you're going through. Same thing, whatever your partner's saying, whatever y'all talk about, that's between you and your partner. Do not use that against them in the future. Do not use that to hurt them. Use that to understand them clearly and to understand when it comes up. And y'all could bond that, deepen that bond. And that's when also, when you're selfless listening, you can understand them, and you could be like, okay, what can I do to be there for you and stuff? What can I help? And that's what we're saying is page 134, man. The best thing to do is selfless learning and let them vocalize what they're going through, and don't use it against them. Don't think like their pain is the worst thing to experience. The pain to inspire others to talk about what they're going through. The pain could be showing, you know, my old self went through this so I could breathe today, you know, and that's what we're talking about. And that's page 134. That's page 134. Page 135. If they're constantly projecting, blaming others for their own emotions, and not interested in personal growth, it'll be tough to build a healthy relationship together. Connection is not enough. Partnerships are also require a certain amount of emotional preparedness. So what we're saying on page 135, I could sum it up, because I don't want to go too deep on it, but in friendships and relationships, there's gonna be a certain amount of time you have to be emotional preparedness, because you might not think your friend could go through something, and they could go through it. Sometimes even your lover, you might think they not be able to go through it, but they will. You have to be emotionally prepared for whatever comes with it. You got to be prepared for it. You got to be emotionally prepared for it, all of it. And if the person is willing to, if they're blaming others, they're not taking responsibility, they're projecting, they're paying whatever, and they're not clearly all trying to grow, then it will be tough to build a healthy relationship, you know. I realized that with a lot of certain people in my life, you know, they're fine what they are. You know, you want to be average Joe, you know. My football coach told me this, and I'll say this, and it's always inspired me to be better than I was yesterday, but inspired to be all. He said, do you want to be average, or do you want to be more than average? And what he was trying to say clearly, he was trying to say is, do you want to be better than a normal athlete? You want to be up there in the top dogs, or you want to just be fine where you are right now? And what a lot of people in that local said, no, we want to be different. He said, go put that work in. And what that showcase is, that question, what it's trying to tell you is, are you fine with what life is right now? Are you fine with who you are right now? You find that this is the version you need to be? Or do you feel like you can improve who you are and be a better person that the world needs to be the change you need to be, but also to inspire others to work on themselves? And that's what I clearly realized. Like, if I want to be better, I have to work on become better every day. Like the last few days, last few weeks, you know what I'm saying, I've been down, you know, not because it's not, I've been sick for like the last month. I've been sick for 3 times, almost 4, hopefully not. I can just keep drinking water, hot tea and stuff, but your boy has been through it. Like, I've been sick so many times, like, it doesn't make sense, but I didn't give up. I didn't let it stop me. I didn't let it conflict me. I kept going because I know that things are going to get better. No matter what, things are always going to get better. You're just going to have to keep fighting. And if you're not willing to grow and you're not interested, and that's personal growth. Understand, you want to be better than you were yesterday. You want to be better than a few months ago. If you want to be better, then start the program. Understand how to get better. Work on an area of your life you want to work on. Work on that. If you don't want to, how you ever going to grow in this world, man? How you ever going to get better? And that's what we were talking about in relationships. Relationships have to grow. You have to have personal growth with each other. Because not how you going to have a healthy relationship. You're going to have a disgusting, toxic relationship. If you're not willing, you want to grow. If you're blaming others, if you're constantly projecting, connection is just not enough. And that's what it comes with emotional preparedness. Are you prepared to build with this person? Are you willing to, and this is another question, and certain of these questions I'll talk about, I'll put it on my details and stuff. When I get the time, I'll go back to videos and I'll, you know, when I got the time to. But not my coach, but I think my uncle said this, and he said, someone said it. Think about every day. Are you willing to deal with all this stuff, this person, the good, the bad, and ugly? Are you willing to deal with it? Are you willing to love this person? If you're willing to love the good, the bad, and ugly about this person, then that's the one for you. If you're clear not, don't even give it a try. If you're not emotionally prepared for this person, not ready to face all the things they're dealing with and things that, you know, y'all can improve together, then you're not willing to grow with the person. And that's simply what we're saying. Blaming others is never right. Projecting on people is not going to be right. And you're not interested in personal growth, it's never going to work out, shoddy. You know what I'm saying? With me and you feel me? That's like one of my peeps. Like, if you're not willing to grow, like, there was some that willing to grow, but it was some, like, it was just like, it felt like he wasn't, you know, like, and what I'm gonna put it in my, one of my things, we'll talk about it in another video, but I'll say this short. If you're focusing on one area of your life, that's fine, but if you're not focused on every area of your life somehow, how are you focusing, like, to become better? If you're not trying to be the jack of all trades, and you're just trying to be good at one certain thing, how you ever gonna grow? And that's what it is. Like, I'm good at a lot of things now, but now I gotta be like, yo, I gotta work on my relationships. And that's one thing I got to improve. That's like my weakness right now. Communication is one of my weaknesses. Organization is. I gotta improve every single day to get better. And that's just what I gotta do. It sucks some days, but Are you willing to do that? Those weaknesses, those fears, are you able to overcome them, overcome these fears? And that's what it is with personal growth. Even with a partner, you're gonna get tested every single day in life. You're gonna get tested. So if you're not gonna pass the test, how you gonna grow? If you're not gonna pass what's testing you and your lover, how you ever gonna become a better person? You gotta become a better person so when you get kids, they don't become who you are right now. Come on, man. Think about that. You want your kids to be who you are right now? Or you want to be better than that? Think about that, man. And that's what I'm talking about, man. But as always, man, adios, amigos, hasta luego. Hold up, let me do it better. Hasta luego, amigos. Wait. No, adios, amigos. Hasta luego, adios, amigos. See you later.